Welcome to The Recovering Perfectionist, where you'll learn all the hacks you need to get started and finished on your business or project. You'll connect with successful entrepreneurs who are in perfectionist rehab, unapologetically experimenting and balancing life, business, family, and me time. I'm your host and Chief Recovering Perfectionist, Claire Barton. Hey everyone, it's Claire Barton back with another episode of The Recovering Perfectionist. Today I'm super excited. I finally got to catch up with Emma Polette, who is the Body Love Coach. How are you going, Emma?
I'm well, thank you.
Finally we got here. We've had a few reschedules, but I'm so glad to have you hanging out on the show today. So, Emma, I've been following you on and off for a couple of years, actually. I did a bit of a face talk, I reckon, probably 2 years ago. And then we've recently kind of reconnected in some of the Facebook groups, including mine, which is called The Recovering Perfectionist, obviously. Yeah. And I just really love your messaging and the whole idea about getting over the perfectionist stuff with your body and how that relates to business and all of that sort of thing. So I'm super excited that we get to chat with you about that today. Awesome. As I mentioned before, I've chatted with quite a few people about the perfectionism stuff and how it relates to body and body image and self-confidence and all of that sort of thing. But I really love how you talk about it in relation specifically to the business stuff. So we'll come back to that in a second, but maybe if you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do and what your journey's been to get to this point in your gorgeous business and all that sort of thing.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. So I have been in my business Blue Sky Vitality now for about 4 years. I'm based in Albany in Western Australia, but if we rewind back to just over 5 years ago now, I left Sydney. So for a very long time I lived in Sydney for about 15 years. I am a WA girl but left for a while, and I sort of fell into a corporate role. So I was selling shampoo in the end, and for some reason they made us feel like selling shampoo was life or death situation. We had lots of pressure on us. And as I said, because I fell into the role, it was never something that I was passionate about. So I was sort of dragging myself to work every day, feeling really, really stressed a lot of the time, and really not enjoying what I was doing. And at the same time, I started to get unwell. So I ended up with endometriosis, which is, can be quite severe. And in 2009 I had my first surgery for endometriosis, and then had another one a couple of years later, and realized at that point that the stress in my life was really causing me problems. It was making me unwell, literally, and I just felt that I needed to have a change. But I was also obsessed with looking perfect. I felt like if I had a six-pack, then everything in my life would be better. I don't know why. It's really weird now to think back on it. But I think along with my endometriosis, I always had a kind of bigger belly because I had like a lot of swelling and bloating and pain in that area. And so I was very conscious of it all the time. And I'd get up really early and go to the gym and smash myself at the gym and then get to work, and I'd be starving. So I'd eat a big block of banana bread and a huge coffee, and then I'd feel guilty, and then I'd make myself go to the gym in the afternoon, and then I'd be all hyped up, so then I'd go out for a few drinks with my girlfriends and then get up really early the next day and feel guilty about the drinks the night before and blah blah blah. So you can see how that's
goosebumps about it is, and it's so strange because I think and I'll keep going with this story in a sec, but I think that's such a big thing that's this cycle of hate and love, and it's so strange. Like hearing you say it, I'm like, yep, I did that, yep. But I would never have, like, in the moment gone, what am I doing here? Like, when you hear it in someone else's voice, and it sounds so ridiculous, you can actually pull yourself up about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wasn't the only one. I had friends around me doing the same thing. Or the friends that weren't getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym would be like, oh my God, Emma, you're so amazing. Like, good on you. So it was all kind of reinforced by friends and the media and everything. I felt like I was a Sydney version of Sex and the City out with my career and, keeping up with everything. And so in mind of losing weight, I got a little brochure in my letterbox, and sometimes I ignore junk mail, but luckily I didn't ignore this piece of junk mail. It's not actually junk. Was a little flyer saying outdoor boxing classes, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a nice thing to do. It might be another way to lose some weight and get that six-pack. So I rocked up to this beautiful outdoor fitness class and started punching things, and was like, yes, this feels amazing. I needed to unleash the beast a bit.
Right.
I'm to so much stress. And within about 3 classes, I was hooked, and I was like, this might be something I could do forever. Like, this could be my job. I would love this to be my job.
Yeah.
So I messaged my mum here in Albany and said, Mum, I think I want to be a personal trainer. I want to leave Sydney and move back to, Albany, and can I move home? And my mum, being the beautiful woman she is like, yes, darling, when are you coming? So within 6 months, because she'd looked after me so much through all my illnesses and things as well. Yeah. So within 6 months, I had moved to Albany, started my studies, and started to become a personal trainer. And I studied health coaching as well. Always loved yoga, so I've studied yoga as well. But for a long part of my business, I was really still hooked into that whole weight loss thing. Partly because I thought, that's where I'm going to get the business. Most people that inquire about personal training services are interested in losing weight. So I was kind of ticking along in that kind of paradigm still. And then the beginning of this year, 2017, last year, my endometriosis started coming back in quite a big way. And so in January, I had a hysterectomy to deal with it, which, is extreme, but in my circumstance, it felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah, right.
And I remember being in hospital probably like 2 or 3 days after the surgery, and just it's coming down onto me. It was this little voice from somewhere saying, Emma, you have now put your body through enough, and it's time to really love your body.
Yeah.
Like, just love it. Yeah. And start to teach other women to do the same, because we spend so much of our lives caught up in this idea of being perfect in our bodies. Not everyone, but a lot of us do. And if we can let go of some of that stuff and just surround your body with love, it's amazing the difference that can happen. So that's kind of where this new body love coach tangent has come from, and it feels really authentic and really real to me, whereas everything I was doing up until this year was just kind of what I felt like I was supposed to be doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that was actually the question I wanted to ask. And something that I'm really interested in is I'll go back a little way, because I heard someone, I can't even remember who it was now, but someone was using an analogy or an example in a business training course that I was doing, and they said it was kind of about that, give them what they want. No, what is it? Sell them what they want, give them what they need, that sort of thing. So if someone comes along and they say they want to lose weight, then you go, yep, I can help you lose weight. And then when they come in, you know that what they actually need to do is have some mindset, have the body love, all these things, which will then inevitably lead to weight loss. But it's not like, here, have this magic pill and lose the weight sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even just that example, hearing that from someone who wasn't in that sphere, but who was using that example, I thought, what? If I wanted to work with someone and I wanted to lose weight, and then they just told me that I needed to love my body, I'd be like, can I have a refund, please? What are you talking about? And that was literally my response.
Yeah.
I'd never really heard of that as a concept before. It was always lose weight, have these shakes, lose weight, cut your calories, lose weight, don't eat these foods, like all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I had no conscious kind of understanding that there was a mindset and this body love thing. Like, if you want to do anything, you really have to, and if you want anything to be sustainable, that there's got to be this element of body love. So it's kind of, to me, I feel like it's a new concept. It's been in my sphere of whatever for a few years, but it kind of does feel like a bit of a new concept. So what I'm kind of really interested in now is when you first start to understand that it's not just about having and following a very strict diet and hating your life for 2 years while you lose the weight, or a year, or whatever it is. Like, what's the kind of, what happens in that for people when they go through that sort of, okay, it's not as easy as just changing my diet, especially when you get to, whatever age, the older you get, the slower it is to have those changes. I remember going on diets when I was, in my early 20s and I could lose 5 kilos in a couple of weeks, no problem.
Yeah.
Now it's like I'm struggling to even go half a kilo a month sort of thing.
Yeah.
What kind of changes for people do you think when they start to realize, okay, there's more here. I need something more than just the magic diet pill?
I think I seem to have a lot of clients that are in their 50s even. And I think as you get older, you do realize that the weight doesn't come off, as you just said, as easily as it used to. And I think as you get older, you realize the weight coming off isn't actually what is going to change my life. It's more than that. So I think the people that come to me eventually have flogged themselves at the gym, have deprived themselves of all the foods that they love, have lost weight a million times before, but always put it back on because that's what always happens. And have kind of realized what I really want is to feel fit and healthy and energized and excited about life. And some people think that to lose the weight is how they're going to feel that way. But eventually people start to come to understand that feeling that way is how you might lose the weight. So if you talk about, say, like manifesting or anything, you have to feel what you want before you can actually attract it. And it's exactly the same way with your health and fitness. You have to feel healthy and you have to feel sort of comfortable in your body before you can attract the changes that you want. So I'm definitely not speaking to everybody because the dominant thing in society is like losing weight and being skinny is going to make your life better. But I think the people that come to me eventually realize I want to feel good. If I lose weight, that's okay. So it's hard to explain it, and every person's different because everyone has such different motivations. And the motivation should really be that deep down why, like what's the real why, not why do you want to lose weight, but what do you think is going to happen in your life if you lose weight, and let's go and chase that instead of chasing the weight loss.
Ooh, I've got goosebumps on my goosebumps. It's exactly it's such a big thing, and I totally take my hat off to anyone like yourself who's up for the challenge of helping people shift their mindset in that sort of sense, because it is so drummed into us that, you know, when you're skinny, then you can wear the bikini, so then you can go to the beach and hang out with your kids, but not before then. Like, you've got to lose the weight.
What are you
talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So while we are going totally down the rabbit warren of all that sort of thing, which I completely love, what I'd really like to hear from you is how this shows up, especially for women in business and women in who are either solo entrepreneurs or whatever they're kind of doing, the online business thing. Like, how does the body stuff relate to the business stuff?
I think it's very directly related in probably two main ways. The first one is that thing of being seen. I see so many women, especially when they're beginning in business, who won't even have a photo of themselves on their Facebook page, or, won't put themselves on a Facebook Live, or won't, do the things that really help them connect with their potential clients. And a lot of that is that deep down, I'm not good enough. I don't look the way I'm supposed to. Even me, like if you look at the photos I have of myself on my, in social media or whatever, the professional photos, I don't actually look like that all the time. I don't wear that much makeup and blow dry my hair every day, So, we do get used to seeing all these perfection people in business just the same way that we see them in, the mainstream media. And so if you're starting out and you're holding on to, 10, 15 extra kilos and you feel like you're not even qualified enough to talk about what you want to talk about, let alone look the part, I think that can really hold a lot of women back. So that's one way. But then the other way is that total brain space that some of this stuff can take up. So if people are, resonating with that story I told of myself at the beginning of like that constant cycle of, did I eat enough? Did I exercise enough to cover all the things that I ate today? And, oh God, I'm guilty because I didn't go to the gym twice today and I only went, 3 times this week instead of 6, or all that stuff that takes up all that space in our mind. If you can clear out all that clutter, imagine how much more space you've got for the stuff that really matters, like developing your message and creating programs and, selling things and all that sort of stuff. So it's directly related in both
the people you're trying to serve. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it really helps in those two main ways, being seen, but also allowing clarity to come into your mind, because otherwise it could be so caught up with all the other stuff that doesn't. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. So let's talk first about the visibility thing, because visibility, it's like the V word. It's like the new V word that's so big, and it is indefinitely one of the hardest things to overcome when you begin, I think. I saw it, and pretty much everyone who I know who's come through that kind of process of starting a business, it's one of the main blocks, because, and I've been talking a lot about that this week actually in various places, but just before I started my business, or a couple of years before I started my business, actually back in about 2011, I spent 3 months traveling around India by myself, and I think I have 2 photos of myself the whole time I'm there, because I felt too vain and too uncomfortable, and like, what are people going to think of me if I'm taking a selfie? Like, they'll think I'm just want to look at myself, or they'll think that I'm up myself or whatever. So I didn't hardly take any photos of myself unless no one was watching, and I could kind of do a quick snap, and it was so awkward, and I just felt so gross about it. And I transferred that all through, after that I was in corporate for a while, and then obviously starting my own business. It was so uncomfortable, and I had, even down to using my own name as my business name, because I was like, I don't want people to think it's all about me, when actually the whole aim of so much of business is that it is about you, and that there's 1,000 different people you could go and work with, but the connection is the person. So you have to show your face, and you have to say your name, whether it's your business name or not. But that whole visibility is such a big thing. And, once you kind of get over it, and I did Elle Roberts's 10-day selfie challenge when I was first starting, and I felt like that was such a good excuse, because I was like, I don't really want to be posting the selfie, but Elle said I had to. So it was kind of a good excuse. And now I tell people, especially when they're starting out with either selfies or Facebook lives or videos or something, like, just put my name down, just say Claire made me do it, whatever you want to do, like, have an excuse, find an excuse sort of thing. Because once you realize how much more connecting it is, and if you put the shoe, what was it? Put your shoes on the other feet. You know what I mean? Stand on the other side.
The shoe was in the foot. Yeah.
The shoe was in the other foot.
Yeah.
I'm always using analogies, but I almost always mix them up. So it's always really fun to try and work out which one I'm trying to actually talk about.
Yeah.
But if you go on the other side, if you were looking to engage someone, whether it was a PT or a business coach or a marketing person or a branding person, and there was, 2 people who had the same package and the same skills and the same outcomes and that sort of thing, but you didn't have a clue what one of them looked like or what they were about or what they did in their spare time. Not that you need to know all the super personal stuff. And one that was like, hey, here's my face, this is what I am, this is how I speak, and is much more visible and accessible. You're probably going to go with that one, because it is a connection, and especially when it's women to women and we're all in that same space, it's totally about the connection. So couldn't agree more. But I know even from personal experience that even the weight thing is such a big block. Like, I think back to probably, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something, or maybe 2 years ago, and I really wanted to start doing more public speaking and, going to more gigs and that sort of thing. But I thought, I probably won't feel comfortable doing that until I've lost a bit of weight, so I won't put it out there. And then, was invited to do a few things and thought, like, just sort of said yes off the cuff. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to wear? How am I going to look? Is it going to be the right thing? Is it going to, and just this awful self-talk that sort of comes in when I go and see people speak, and I might notice that they are overweight or that they feel uncomfortable, and so they don't feel comfortable or whatever, but it doesn't change my opinion of what's coming out of their mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got something decent to say, it doesn't really matter what you look like.
Yeah.
And it's such a hard thing to kind of get through and get past that visibility comfort level or whatever you want to call it. So have you got some tips to kind of get over that, like fast track, get over that stuff, or is it really just about practice and time?
I think it's practice and time. I think it's quite deep work though. I think it really does come down to that I'm not good enough thing. And a lot of us have that going on. So one of the programs that I have, which is I call the Body Love Boot Camp, really deep dives into this and helps people to really clear out kind of the old mental clutter and sort of make space for the new stuff. But I think it's about taking some sort of action though to to feeling good about your body. So whether it's going hard at the gym, if you enjoy that, that's great. But I think, you know, regular movement is really important. I think obviously eating well is really important. But the thing that's really different that I offer is self-compassion sort of meditation, because the mindfulness stuff is really what's going to help sort of change the brain waves and change the thoughts. So there is a study from 2014 that shows women that did a self-compassion meditation for 3 weeks, daily for 3 weeks, were a heap more body positive after the 3-week period compared to a control group. So there was no difference in how they were exercising or eating or anything. It was all about the meditation. And even when they looked at that 3 months later, those women were still feeling more positive about their bodies 3 months later. So, you know, I wrote a blog post once about, if you, as a personal trainer, would I choose exercise or meditation? And I actually would choose the meditation. If I've got 10 minutes a day, I'd choose the meditation for a while, because that's what's going to help develop those feelings of self-compassion. Because that's, for me, that's what meditation has taught me, is about compassion in general, but also self-compassion. And then that will be a great way for you to feel more positive, to get out there and show yourself regardless of how you look. You become more positive about what your message is as well, rather than just how you look. Yeah.
What a treat. Well, I hope you share with us where we can get our hands on that meditation at the end.
Yep.
Then everyone's going to be like, what? When did you just say that I could do 10 minutes of meditation instead of 10 minutes of exercise? Sign me up. Awesome. No, we'll put that in the show notes as well for the links. Okay, so moving on to the next thing, because this is where I think it gets so juicy, and being the productivity, organization, planning geek that I am, this is what really kind of ticks boxes for me on a business side as well, is that mental decluttering. So you mentioned before, if you're constantly worried about how you look, what to eat, what to exercise, all that sort of stuff, it doesn't leave much room for creativity and for actually getting stuff done that you want to be doing. And I couldn't agree more. And I know definitely when I have had those days where I've done the intention setting and the clearing out and all of that sort of thing, my days are so much more productive and easy and flowing and all of that sort of thing. In fact, when I started my business, I had a very big focus on review and decluttering. So review before you plan, because there's no point in planning if you don't know where you've come from, and also the decluttering. So there was mental, cyber, physical, and all that sort of thing. So I'm completely on board. You're preaching to the converted here, but I would love to hear your version in a bit more depth about how body shit gets in the way of our business.
Yeah, well, I mean, it totally does, because as we've just explained, if you're constantly thinking about stuff that has nothing to do with your business, that's the time that you're taking away from your business. So one of the really cool things I think is sort of decluttering physically is really important in terms of what's like your wardrobe. Go straight to your wardrobe. If there's stuff in there that what you wear when you're sitting at your computer, it digs into your belly and it makes you feel like crap, and then you spend the whole day thinking, how fat am I, and I'm sitting at the computer and I'm not doing anything. Get rid of those pants, please. Just go straight to your wardrobe. As soon as you listen to this, get them out and get rid of them, because you may or may not ever fit into them again.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, even if you get to the size where you'd fit into them again, go and buy yourself some new ones.
That's right. Have some rewards, girlfriend.
Yeah. So go, like, little things like that. Like, if you think about it, if you've got something digging into your tummy all day long as a little tiny reminder of how crappy you are for eating too much or whatever however your mind goes, that's just wasting time and energy. So decluttering physically, and I think the wardrobe's always a great place to start for that reason.
Such a good point. Yeah.
But also mentally, and I love using sort of like the forgiveness kind of technique of writing down all the things that make you think the way you think. Go through like chronologically, and this is deep work and it's difficult, and you wouldn't do it on a day that you're really busy and have other things to do as well. But think about all the things that have been said about your body by yourself, by you, by other people, how the media's made you feel, and really tap into all of that and forgive each one of those situations. Repeat the forgiveness mantra. I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you, and like start to clear out some of that stuff. And again, that doesn't work in one day. You may need to do that several times, but the more that you can sort of bring it up to the surface so that you can clear it out, the more likely you are to move on, move forward. And again, adding in those self-compassion kind of meditations as well. So you're sort of reprogramming the brain to think the way you want it to think is really important too.
Reprogram my brain to think the way I want it to think. It's so funny, isn't it? I had Sharon Stanford speaking at my event recently in Brisbane, and she talked about sabotage and habits and all of that sort of thing. And, some of it I knew, some of it was new, and some of it was just like, how can I not see this? But then I had a conversation with her straight afterwards about a particular belief set that I have and I know where it's come from. I've done the age regression thing. Like I totally get it and I'm working through it. But Jesus Christ, it's still pretty strong. Like that girl that sits on my shoulder and tells me all these awful stories, she's still got a voice, right? Which I hate, but we're working on it. We're coming to terms with this.
Yeah.
But interestingly, even as we were having this conversation, and light bulbs were going and all of that sort of thing, as soon as I turned around, something else happened, and I out loud said the words, like I can't even remember what it was, but I out loud just said the thing that I was like angry at my inner critic for telling me. Like, what the hell is that? But it's all this sort of subconscious stuff that, like you said, when you stir it up a little bit, it definitely comes to the surface, and it's kind of what you do with it then that helps the energy to go on forwards and that sort of thing. But yeah, I totally agree. I think that mental decluttering and emotional decluttering, some of which you can do by yourself, some of which you need a professional to help you through and all that sort of thing. But God, it just as I said before, I feel like I'm making like inroads and I'm making headway, but, and there's definitely some clearing stuff there that I actually go, you know what, it's not actually that much of an issue for me. But one thing that I'm always interested to hear from people is like, what's the difference between saying, yeah, I love my body. Like, I love my body. It's done all these amazing things. It's taken me all around the world. It's given me 2 babies. It's, it's strong and it's blah, blah, blah. And I love that it can do that. But I still have times when I catch myself looking in the mirror going, ugh, gross, whatever I'm saying. So, like, is that always a process? You don't just one day all of a sudden go, okay, cool, yeah, I love my body, I don't need to change it anymore? Or is it always a process and it's always, going to be a thing in some capacity and it will be worse at some points and not so bad at other points? Like, how does that kind of work, just in terms of the standing back and observing the process kind of thing?
Yeah, these things are always a process. And I think that's part of where people get fitness and weight loss a bit mixed up too. They sort of think, I'm going to lose the 5 kilos and then I've lost 5 kilos. Everything's good. But most people are like, so you've not eaten anything for 6 weeks to lose the 5 kilos. What happens now? Like, if you go back to eating normally, what happens now? Yeah. So I think as soon as we can give ourselves all a break and go, you know what, this is what life is. Life's like a constant journey of self-discovery, which can be a pain in the ass, but it can be awesome as well. But nothing just stops here. There's always something, because we always hit another new upper limit and something else, changes. And I think, again, I keep banging on about it, but if you come back to really developing that self-compassion muscle and, working on it. So we go to the gym, you've got to keep doing your bicep curls to keep growing your bicep. If you stop your bicep curls, they'll go back to the way they were if you're into that stuff. It's exactly the same way with mindset and
true.
Those things. You've got to keep working the muscle. Now, maybe you don't need to do it as often because your biceps are huge now, so you don't need to go to the gym every day, because otherwise you'll have no room for your arms if they're that big. It might be the same for your self-compassion muscle, might be quite big, but you kind of need to top it up,
tweak it every now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so top tips for tweaking the compassion muscle.
Again, like, meditation has really taught me the most about self-compassion. And I think the way that works is, because most people, when I talk to them about meditation, say, I've tried, I can't do it. And so, as soon as you realize that meditation isn't about completely switching your brain off and never thinking a thought for 10 minutes, it really is quite liberating, because you're like, I'm never going to get this perfect. So it's hard for us recovering perfectionists, but to fully understand I'm not going to be perfect right from the start is exactly where that self-compassion starts. And then that spreads out to everything. So you start a new health and fitness regime, you're going along beautifully, and then life happens. Happened to me recently. I was in a car accident. Things have dropped off that I meant to do. But now that I've got more space in my life, I just add those things back in again. And it's the same. You're following your breath and your meditation, your mind wanders off, and your job is to gently bring yourself back every time. So living a healthy lifestyle is like that. Working on your business is like that. Feeling confident is like that. Your self-compassion is like that. Everything in my mind comes back to that kind of meditation analogy.
So true. And I was talking to someone about this again recently, that in the past, my thing has been, right, I'm going to lose 40 kilos in the next 5 months, like all or nothing. Not, I'll just aim for half a kilo sometime in the next month or something like that. It's always been like gung-ho. And of course, you fail after about 5 days or 10 days or whatever. And then you think, oh, I'll have to wait till the next lot of New Year's resolutions comes around or whatever, right? Not quite, but you know what I mean.
Next Monday.
Like exactly. It's always got to start on a Monday.
Yeah.
And I recently realised someone had said to me, and I'd heard it 1,000 times before, obviously, that whole start as you mean to go on. And I think, yeah, that's cool. But if you didn't start as you mean to go on, just start now, or just go on now as you mean to go on. But exactly like you said, if you've kind of got like a direction, whether that's in meditation or a healthy lifestyle or an exercise regime or something like that, you don't have to do it 100% of the time.
No.
And to somehow, whatever kind of you do to get your mind around that, to be okay with taking detours and then just coming back to it and taking detours and then coming back to it, rather than taking a detour, hating yourself and going even further into this whole self-sabotage and then having to start way back even further than the original beginning because of whatever. And I think that's been a really big mind shift change for me in my business as well as personal stuff, because I feel like it's not a failure anymore. It's just a detour. It's just a bit of a adventure along the way. It's taking, the longer version to get there, but it's probably going to be more fun and less shit because you're not being so constrictive and I don't know, whatever the word is, you know what I'm trying to say? Like you don't have to stick to something 100% just because you said you were going to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm a business planner, but one of my biggest things is don't have a business plan. Like don't have that 150-page business plan because you're setting yourself up for failure. And it's the same sort of thing with going, right, I'm going to lose 40 kilos in 6 months rather than I'm going to get healthy and walk more and hopefully lose some weight along the way, because it's so much more stick-toable. That's the word.
And like Wayne Dyer wrote about setting intentions, is like, especially around our physical appearance, is if you're coming to the intention from a place of hate, then like your body's not going to come to meet you to it.
Right.
It's like, why do you hate me? Why do you want to treat me badly? Whereas if you come to the intention of, I want to treat myself beautifully because that's what I want, then all those things will happen. You'll exercise because it feels good. You'll eat well because it feels good. And you will probably slim down because your body's like, this feels good. Whereas if you're like 40 kilos in 6 months because I need to look a certain way because I'm not good enough unless I look that way, that's such a negative way to come to to what you want. Whereas, if you make it, as you say, more general, but coming from a positive side, you're going to win all the time. And once you make little wins, you want to keep going. So,
why can't every PT be like you, Emma?
Well, there's more and more of us out there nowadays, but I think, I really do think that people need to make a stand and say, I'm not pertaining, like I've lost my words, but I'm not like putting up with this bullshit anymore. Something I saw recently, I was reading an article about fake tans and saying how because of Donald Trump, less people are getting fake tans now. I don't know if that's true. But the story turned into how there's more women out there, celebrities being photographed with pale skin. But then it morphed into something even further. And it showed that there were 3 women that were on Vanity Fair covers recently. So it was Tina Fey, Emma Stone and Margot Robbie. were all on Vanity Fair promoting something important or whatever. And all three of them, Tina Fey was in like a showgirl outfit, and Emma Stone and Margot Robbie were in bikinis. And I would like to just sort of say, how are any of those three women, I'm not sure that anything they were talking about related to being either a showgirl or in a bikini, right? So it's really hard because our self-worth is just constantly bombarded with, if you're successful, you should look this good in a bikini so we can put you on the cover of Vanity Fair. Whereas for all of those women, being in a bikini has nothing to do with why they are well, it probably has something to do with why they're successful, but they've got other qualities that we would all watch them for, regardless of if they look good in not much clothing. Does that that's been a ramble, but more of us need to notice these things happen, notice that these things are happening, and say, I'm not a party to this anymore. I don't agree with it. It's not necessary. I'm a good person regardless of how round my belly is.
I agree. And I can be successful, and I can speak in front of people, and I can wear whatever I want to wear, regardless of how round my belly is. Put that on a t-shirt. That's great.
So it's two-pronged. Like, it's not that we're saying I can let my belly get as big as I want and I don't have to look after myself. Absolutely not. Like, to live an energetic, life that's full of purpose, you need to look after yourself. You need to have a healthy body, but you do not need to have a six-pack. It's never been part of the requirements to being successful and happy ever.
Well, that's good, because I don't think I'm ever going to get one. Especially not after this conversation.
I hope that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Awesome. I could literally sit here and talk to you about this all day, but we better wrap it up. So we've got your top tips. Where can people stalk you lovingly on social media and website and stuff? How can we find out more about you?
So I'm on Facebook. Blue Sky Vitality Coach is my Facebook page, and Instagram's Blue Sky Vitality. And I do have an online program. So I was inspired by Michelle Bridges back in the day, but of course I want to be the nice Michelle Bridges with a bit of meditation and stuff. So it's an online subscription program. So every week participants get a few workouts that they can do at home. They get a healthy recipe just to, change things up in the kitchen. But every week they get a meditation that they can focus on for that week as well. Plus there's a premium version where you get a 30-minute session with me. So that's the Body Love Club. So if you want to join a health club that's a bit more body love focused, that's a great way of doing it. And anyone that's listening can get a free taste of that. So at blueskyvitality.net/taste, they can sign up and get like a free week's worth and get an idea of what the program looks like.
Awesome. Thanks for that.
No worries.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome to have a chat. I totally second everything that you said. I just want to do like these. What she said. No, that was really cool. Hopefully that was on the right side for you. For anyone who's just listening and not watching the video, I'm pointing my fingers at where I think the video is of Emma. Just so there's a bit of context for what the hell we're talking about. Thank you so much again. We have all of the links and everything in show notes if you want to listen, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
See ya. And that is absolutely it, my lovely. So I hope you've really enjoyed the episode. It was great fun recording that one, as it is with all of them. If you'd like to connect, I'd love to stay in touch with you. I have a beautiful Facebook group community at bit.ly/The Recovering Perfectionist Crew with all capital TRP and C. I have a massive goal this year to get 50,000 downloads on my podcast, and I've got a YouTube show as well. So I'd love for you to help me out if you can by either subscribing to the podcast on iTunes. So if you want to go over and do that now, that would be awesome. If you have a couple of favourite episodes, or if there's one favourite episode that you've really enjoyed, I would love you to share that with anyone who you think would get as much out of it as you have as well. And while you're in iTunes, if you can jump in and give it a review, that would be amazing. iTunes definitely helps out podcasts that have got some good ratings and reviews and some really interactive listeners. So I would really appreciate your help with getting to my goal of 50,000 in 2017. The show is also available over on YouTube. The links are always in the show notes, so you can head over there. So it's The Recovering Perfectionist on YouTube. There's a channel for that as well. So jump in and leave your comments. You can watch all of the episodes in video. So if you want to see what we look like and our crazy hand gestures and facial expressions and all of that sort of thing, absolutely jump in. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel show as well, and then you'll be kept up to date when there's some new episodes that come in there. So yeah, love your support. And if you want to shoot me an email, it's hello@clairebarton.com.au. Always happy to receive your emails and yeah, open up a conversation. All right, big love. I'll chat with you soon. Bye.